But would you have a look at who's just stopped by the pub, guys? None other than former Accrinton Stanley commercial manager, current owner of the Albion pub, and a guy who is really deeply involved with the resurrection of Barrie Football Club, none other than Daniel Bowerbank. Thanks for joining us today, Daniel. Pull up a chair, grab a pint.
Hiya, Daniel. It's nice to speak to you again and joining us in our little virtual across the pub from the live at the Albion. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Thank you very much, Tony. I was busy, as you can imagine, both in obviously the pub. The trade started to pick up now. Restrictions have lifted as well, and obviously with everything that's going on with Gig Lane after the announcement last Friday.
Yeah, I mean, you left Stanley as you were the commercial manager there and did an outstanding job, and I got to know you through that position, and we always had some good chats when I was over. How did it become going from there to a landlord? How did that come about, and how are you settling in?
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. Obviously, due to the COVID crisis, being on furlough from Accrinton Stanley, and being in 1 day a week. I've worked all my life, shall I say? For since I was 13-year-old, I've had a couple of jobs here and there all the way through. And it was one of them where the opportunity came to run my own business. I wanted to do that by the time I was 30. Due to COVID, it came a little bit after that. I was 31. And yeah, the opportunity came. I went for a conversation with the brewery. I explained obviously what I've done in football over the last 10 years. With obviously Barrie Football Club first, and Accrington, and the difference that we've done, and the sports bar, and changing it round from a pie and peas to 3-course meal to live music before and after a game, with the layout of the pub, and we discussed the planned refurbishment, which has happened, and it was one of them. It was just a conversation that carried on, and then within 3 days, it was quite a quick decision, really. We had a meeting on the Friday. It was a bank holiday weekend when they rang me back. So they rang me back on the Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock, and he rang me and said, "Look, I want you to take it on. I think you can turn it all around. You can make it a sustainable model," which is obviously what we've done at Accrington with everything else that we've done. And we sat down over that night, and yeah, we decided that it was something that we think we could do. Obviously, we've both worked in the public sector. We've both worked in the pub sector as well. So it was something that we thought we could just fall into and make it our own, and we have done over the last 7 months while we've been there.
And I wanted to congratulate you on your engagement too. And I mean, so you've got a lot going on in your life. So well done on getting engaged. That's great news.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, in our lives at the minute. We've got another little one due in August as well. So there's a lot of things going on. It's the engagement, the pub, the football side. That's the main. The main thing is obviously we're all safe and we're well, and we're all working towards it. And everything works in hand, and she appreciates that what we're doing at the football club. To get the community back there, it does take a little bit more of my time. And we was going to have a bit of time out of football, but it was an opportunity that I thought I couldn't miss on, to get involved and give my experiences and my expertise in obviously in knowing the stadium inside and out, and obviously what I've gained my experience over the last 10 years in sport.
Daniel, when you see what's been going on at Stanley and the facilities, the lounge and the sports bar, and do you have any mixed feelings, or what's your thoughts on how things have developed at the club in the last little while?
It's an outstanding club, from top to bottom. Every single person, they speak to each other, they know each other. It is a community club, and the facility that's just been finished, well, it will be finished. I think the first people are having a drink next week. The facilities are outstanding, second to none. Initially I was part of the vision of what we wanted to do going forward. As part of that, I sat in meetings and we said we need to make as much space as we could, but also you needed space, for a stage for your acts and your music, and obviously hire it out for that obviously it's got to be match days, but you've got to generate non-match day revenue to be able to compete with other teams in that league. You're not going to be able to compete with the likes of Wigan and obviously when we played Luton in League Two and obviously in League One when they got promoted with us. Their budgets were miles apart because they had more facilities, they had corporate boxes, they had everything. And Andy Holt, the vision that he's brought to the club and to the stability really to the club is what he said he was going to do in the first ever meeting I met with him. So he stuck to his word. He's built what he wanted to do, and he knows now that if people use the facility, and especially if he's one of the best in the area, then the club should start to thrive from there. And you'll probably see more staffing appointments off the field because they'll need to with the facilities. But yeah, I've got mixed feelings. Obviously, I wanted to be part of it, but I feel that I've done a lot for the club. I left because obviously I wanted to do something a little bit different and get more experience in different ways and give myself a little bit more time. Working in sport, it's 6-7 days a week sometimes when you've got extra games, cup games, replays, youth team games. So it was more of a little bit of a recharge. Leaving in the June. But then, yeah, I look now. Obviously I'll be going to the club to watch a few games. I speak to a lot of Stanley fans still. I'm part of that network of people and friends, and I've met people like yourself and Darren and the sponsors and everything over that time. And it's more, they're more friends than just there was contacts. And I can't wait for them to go and enjoy that facility. And it will thrive from there, especially when they go to the first few games and they're all sold out.
All right, excellent stuff, Daniel. So let's have a little bit of a chat about Bury. But first of all, just tell us a little bit about what Bury means to you as a club, the old Bury, before we just quickly, before we go on to what's happening today. So what does it mean to you?
Yeah, no problem. Well, Bury to me, Bury's my club. I was born and bred in Bury. I went to my first game at 4-year-old. I went with my dad. I've been with my granddad. My granddad didn't really like football, but I eventually, before he passed away, I took him to a game and we sat in the stand with not many people around him, but he was panicking because of all the previous football history that everybody had talked about. And I just enjoyed football. It was more to, I've been with my dad, I've been with my granddad, I've took my little girl. It was my club, and being born and bred in Bury, everybody at Accrington knows exactly the same. If you're from Accrington, you support your local club, and that was my club. And it was tough to leave there to go to Accrington, but obviously at that time Accrington needed somebody to take it to that next level, and yeah, it was tough to leave, but yeah, it's my club, and I'm glad to be back involved with it, to be honest.
Yeah, excellent. That's good to hear, and it obviously comes from the heart. And we all know the story of what happened at Bury, and tragic, and we've covered it on this podcast. And it's really some really dark days, but some good news now, and you're back involved. So, how did you first get involved with the resurrection, if you will?
Yeah, well, since I've been involved in Forever Bury, which is the Supporters Trust, for the last 10 years. It was more a fundraising body at the time, putting money in, getting shares out of it. Obviously, it didn't conflict with anything, with Accrington. It wasn't to do with sponsorships and stuff like that. It was more beer festivals, running them and looking after the event side. And then obviously over the time, it's grown. So I left Accrington in the summer, last summer. And obviously there was a group formed, F85, which I've been part of right the way through. And our aim was to try to find some benefactors because of the pricing of the stadium, to see where we could go, what our next steps could be to get the ground back as one, because obviously that's the heart of it. That's been the home ground since 1885, so nobody else knows anything different. So it was getting involved with that. So I got involved. I sat in some, we sat in meetings. We started, anti-fair hair salon. And in that time, obviously, we had to social distance. We had to make sure it was done right. We met each other, former directors, former employees, people that got experience in football. We all sat down together and said, "This is the plan. This is the vision. We need to try and get it as soon as possible." The ground was going into administration, which we sort of knew it was coming, because Steve Dale at the time wasn't speaking to anybody, wasn't liaising with anybody. he'd speak to people, then he'd move the goalposts as such, and so they said. So then from there, we got through to October, and we started to get a bit more traction through the benefactors, that they're involved. And then we got through to December with the opportunity with James Daly, local MP, to see what the Levelling Up Fund, and obviously we can push that if we've got the £1 million match funding. So it was more sit down, let's have a look and let's get involved. So then obviously once that was triggering on, they rang me separate and said, look, we know you're a very fan, we know you understand the stadium. We want to look after the operational side of it. We need to get this ground up and running, and obviously are you interested in doing so? I sat down and I thought, you know what? Yeah, if anybody can do it, anyone that's been involved, that, a lot of people have obviously got other jobs. They've moved on to different football clubs because obviously they're very good at the jobs. So that, I had the opportunity. I felt I had the time in January, because, your pubs are normally quiet in January, February, we're realistic with stuff like that. So I said to the missus, I said, look, I'm going to go and do this. And she said, whatever you want, she said, I'll back you. Well, I'm happy for you to do it. And then she understood that it would take quite a bit of my time to do that. So, yeah, I had the conversation. I said, you know what, yeah, I'll go with that. And obviously from there, it ticked along nicely. We got the benefactors in. We've got the fundraising campaigns in the past. We've got the members. We've spent quite a bit of money on legal fees and solicitors' fees to keep it ticking along to where we wanted to get to. James Daly, was key part in this, and speaking to the government for the Levelling Up Fund, and Michael Gove and Boris, and speaking to people like that on Zoom meetings because you can't meet with them was it was unreal, to be honest. As a group, I think there's 14 of us in this group, and you're all sat there on a meeting. And obviously once we was literally waiting, so we put the money into the account, we was literally waiting for that to come through. The government had said, yeah, your money's going to be in on this date. And then when the money hit last Friday at 4:05, it was like the shackles had been lifted a little bit, because obviously we were waiting for this. We was worrying we were going to have to, miss another day, which would mean some, missed payment charges, because we'd missed it by a couple of days, but that was due to a few bits of paperwork and that we had to put in, like a fraud prevention policy, etc. But when it came through on Friday, it was just one of them. We was elated. Everybody was over the moon. It was something. I've been there now. I've been there for 8 weeks, so we had keys for 8 weeks, but we can't have anybody in for insurance purposes unless we're in meetings, because obviously I have to check what was working or what wasn't working in the ground. We had no electric, we had no water. They took the meters out because they did not pay the rates on the meters. So it's been a challenging time, really. But yeah, once that came out, we can then start speaking to people, get more people involved. The first skips start arriving tomorrow. With us looking to start a week on Saturday for the clean-up job. So yeah, it's been a long step and a long time coming, but it's been one of them that it's not just for Bury supporters. It's going to be a community asset, and the ground itself, it's going to be able to hold grassroots football, training sessions, not local Sunday League side. It's going to have ladies teams on there, maybe eventually have a men's team on there, and it will grow. And I think from what it has been on the facilities that we've got, it will be a 3G pitch eventually. But it can be sustainable, and and we look at Accrington as a model, and I said this to the board. We look at Accrington as a model that can be sustainable. It can be, because you turn your stands up after the game. You don't have any cops really with your energy side. You've got your office separately now for the stadium, so there's no cost inside the stadium. It's more an efficient building. You can do that, Clay. And we've got an opportunity. We've got a spare hospitality suite in the corner. You've probably been to it. It was called Starkey's. Yeah. And in there, we're going to have a 2-tier gym. So, there's opportunity for a 24/7 gym, which obviously will generate non-match day revenue, which is key for us. And that's where we'll go from there, and we can build, and it'll be sustainable. It'll be volunteer led, like before Accrington and the Bournemouth game and everything like that. It'll be more volunteer led, and obviously you've got the benefactors in, but there's no opportunity for that ground now to go out of the supporters' hands. It's a 51% shareholding to supporters, 49% to the benefactors. There's caveats in there that says there's no debt, there's no mortgages, there's no director loans. So
Excellent.
it can't, if you need the money, the directors can put the money in, but they don't get anything back out of it because it's not allowed to be a loan, which is what happened previously under the last owner. So it's key for us to get the ground up as it is now, and then get it open to supporters to come and get your seat, go and sit in your seat, take in the atmosphere of what it is there. And we've got 500 volunteers, to help us get this stadium back up and running. And local businesses have been absolutely unbelievable. We've got people donating all the windows that smashed, they're donating all the new frames and new doors, and the community is so far, it's been incredible, and we're going to carry on doing that. We've got a local paint shop donating the paint for the stadium, so the stadium will look cleaner than it probably ever has been for at least the last 10 years anyway. So
that's fantastic.
It's a long project. It's a good project, but it's one that the whole community can embrace, and local businesses. It'll be great for them as well.
Yeah. And what about the actual first team aspirations of playing again, and what level you'll get into, and etc.? Has that been firmed up yet, Daniel?
It's not been firmed up yet, Darren. No. And the reason for that is conversation that we've had with the leagues. The last national league system, as you know, the FA don't get involved. You've got to have a league to back you, etc. And then we had conversations with them, and they said basically, you've got to have a ground. It was like, well, we've got a ground. But it's not officially yours. Right, okay. So obviously now it's officially ours. We can back open and talk with the national league system and see where we go from there. We've got a working group separate trying to work with Bury AFC. They were stepped up because obviously there was no football team in Bury, there was no football club in Bury, and the fans wanted something to do on a Saturday. And they've done a remarkable job. The top of the league. I think 10 points clear last time I checked. They've got a fan base of Bury supporters. There's some Bury supporters that don't back it because they want to wait for Bury Football Club to either get liquidated or to come back. So they've got half a fan base. They get a couple of, sometimes they get over 1,000 supporters, and that's only a fraction of the fan base. A lot of people have come back and said they want football at Gig Lane. So the talks are ongoing with them. Obviously, if they move across, it'll be a merger process. They'll fall under Gig Lane, which is what people want. The people want a merger. So, you can put some of their board and the board that we've created to get these funds from the government. You can put all that together to make one. And hopefully that common sense will prevail. People have their own agendas, they have their own mindset. They think they know what they want for their supporters and their clientele at any business, but I think you've got to ask your members what you want. A lot of members on social media are saying they want to go back to Gig Lane, they want to watch football at Gig Lane, and if the board want to do that, then we can do that. If there's a conversation to be had, and I think it's more of a decision time now. We've got to talk with the national league system, talk with the FA, see what they can do, how they can work with us. And hopefully there will be our men's team playing football there, in August. And we've already got a ladies team that want to play on there. We've got 20 grassroots community clubs want to play on there. So the football club will be sustainable on that model. But obviously we want a men's football team at Gig Lane, and we've got to have them conversations first with Bury AFC, because at the end of the day we'll be sharing the same support space. And obviously, if you can unite them two, then there's no reason why you can't get 3,000-4,000 fans like Macclesfield are, because they was getting a lot less fans in the EFL than Bury was.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's fantastic news.
Yes.
Just for the town of Bury. I mean, people of Accrington, and I know this show's Stanley centric, but we've all got a soft spot for Bury. They've raised funds for Stanley when in our hour of need as well, and we'll be following the story every step of the way, won't we, guys, on across the pitch?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a great story, and I'm thrilled for the work that you put into it, Daniel, and the results you're getting, and they're in good hands with you in the operations piece, and I see from what I read, there's lots of good people involved. So we wish you all the best, and nowhere to go but up for Bury FC.
Absolutely. It's always been a rivalry in the area. And hopefully in the future, we will have an Accrington against Barry match again.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll be able to sort a friendly out, won't you, Daniel, with your mates, Dave Burgess and Andy Alt. If they're listening, come on, guys, you've got to get a friendly on for Bury when they do get up and running and get a bit more money in the coffers.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be conversations to be had, and obviously a lot of Bury supporters like myself used to go and watch Accrington on a Friday night, when you're just, they save our Stanley and Friday night football and stuff like that. So, a lot of Bury fans have soft spots for Stanley. Obviously, it showed when the game against Bury was called off, how many came and supported, even Accrington at that point, because obviously the money was going into Accrington's coffers over the bar. It shows that everyone can work together, and I think that there'll be a conversation to have, I'm sure. Once we can confirm where we're at and the next stages, to be honest.
Yeah, excellent.
We've got David Burgess on next week, so we'll put in a good word for you, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Yeah, no problem, mate. Yeah.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Daniel. It's been a pleasure. Yeah.
No, pleasure.
Thanks so much,
Daniel. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah, thank you for your time. Much appreciated.
We'll see you in September, Daniel.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know when you're over. I've got the same number, Tony. So just give me a call when you're over, mate.
All right. Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
See you later. Bye-bye.